Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Crumbl Unboxed. You guys, we are so excited for this week's episode. We're getting really close to Christmas. How are you guys feeling about that?
Good.
Good. We're all feeling excited?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, we'll talk more about that in a second. But first, I want to introduce you guys to our audience here. So today, my co-hosts joining me, we have Luke, Anthony, and Isabella. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
No problem.
Awesome. Well, and tell us how you guys are siblings, right?
Correct. We are adopted siblings. So originally, these two were birth siblings.
Okay.
And then they recently got adopted, and so they are now officially my siblings as well.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You guys, what do you like to do together as a family?
Go get ice cream plays, play at the trampoline park, do like stuff fun.
Yeah, so with what she said, but we'll also go to arcades, go-karting. We also like to do board games. But overall, we just like to spend quality time together and grow together as a family.
So do you guys have any Christmas traditions?
Every year since I've been with him, I've always tried to convince him to let me open one gift on Christmas Eve before Christmas.
How does that go?
He always says no, but hopefully this year it's different.
Well, we see. We shall see. You'll have to let us know how that goes.
Oh, I will.
Well, sometimes stuff don't change, Anthony. So it might not change this
We'll see.
Christmas.
Well, we will have to see. You'll have to let us know. Yeah. All right, you guys, we are now joined by Peter. So welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me here. Truly
Yes.
a joy. Yes.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. And you are the father of all the children we just had on. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm a single dad. I've been a dad for the last 8 years. I've had 37 children, so these are my adopted children.
Got you. Okay. So obviously you're a father, which is so great. Then that's like the most important role in your life, would you say?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. I think the most, I've done things in life, but maybe this is probably the greatest,
Yeah.
that I've done in my life. And this is just the beginning.
Fantastic. Okay, so aside from that, you're also an author, a speaker, and you're the founder of Now I Am Known. Is that right?
Yes. I was a kid who wasn't known. I was a kid who grew up poor, and I was a street kid, and I tried to steal from a stranger, and he made me known. And all my life, I always felt that, you're going through abuse, but you feel like nobody knows. You're going through a difficult time, but you feel nobody knows. I would go to home, to go to bed hungry every night as a kid, that you feel like nobody knows. But somehow, how the kindness of a stranger made me known, that gave me an opportunity to feel like I was a human being, to make sure that I feel like it was hope for me that I didn't have before. And that's why we created Now I'm Known, to make others known because it made me known. As a foster dad, I'm a dad to kids from hard places, that I wanted to see, or I wanted them to know that if I can overcome this, that there was hope for them as well. But also, I think the past sometimes holds us from the future, that I didn't want that to really happen for me and for my kids, that I wanted them to know, yes, they didn't have a good childhood, but we can use it to do good for others and for ourselves. And that's why I wrote the book, Now I'm Known.
That's a fantastic mission. Oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit more about your childhood. I would love to learn more about that and how this all ties into your experience with Now I Am Known and the book you've written.
So I grew up poor over the poorest, I never had a pair of shoes until when I was 17 years old. I never had 2 meals a day. I had 1 meal every other day. We could never afford 2 meals a day. Grew up going to fetch water 3 to 4 miles away. Didn't have a pair of shoes. I had one pair of clothes, one for Monday to Saturday, and then one for Sunday. So that's the little thing that I really had. Also, I didn't have a name until when I was 2 years old. And the reason is, for every 100 children who were born in my village, 60 would die before the age of 2. So most moms did not name their kids because they were afraid they would lose them before they made it to 2. So at 2, she named me a gift given to me by God. That's what my name means. So for me, from the get-go as a child, there was no hope. There wasn't any... And growing up in my village, it wasn't like just us. It was everyone. So everyone around me was poor. So you didn't have anyone to show you, hey, there's hope for me. Oh, I could be better. Oh, one day. No, that was for me. If I went to fetch water, I went with all the kids in the village. I did not go to school because my family could not afford $5. So for me, that's kind of where I come from. That there was no glimpse of hope. Then at the age of 4, I began to realize that my father was different. He was abusive in every shape, form you could imagine, not just towards me, but towards my mother as well. So for me, it was hard to watch that you love your mom, but you cannot protect him. But also you have this man who had no hope for you, you know. Growing up, I had a few words from him. You will never amount to anything. You're nobody. I wish you were never born so I don't have to feed you, or I did not have to feed you. That's what I had when I woke up. That's what I had when I went to bed. So in a way, there wasn't any hope for me, or that I smelt it, or that I felt it, or that I could really vision what that was. So at age of 10, I knew, hey, I know my father is going to take my life, but why should I give him the opportunity to do so, you know? So I went to the bus station. I had never been 20 miles away from my village. I asked the lady, hey, of all these buses, which one goes the farthest? And the lady said, that one. And I got on that bus, and I went 500 kilometers away. And me running away wasn't like I was looking for a better future. It was more of, I would rather die, but die in the hands of someone else. And if I die, then he will never get to see my dead body. So as a 10-year-old, I think that's what I was kind of thinking, like, look, I hate this man that I would never want him to bury me in a way. And of course, I arrived in Kampala and became a street kid, you know. And that's the only opportunity I had to be a street kid, where life was miserable for sure. And the abuse was 100 times than what was at home. But there was a difference. The abusers were not my family. You know, these people I didn't know, so they had the right to do whatever they wanted to do. And along the way, that became my life for 5 years. So for 5 years, lived on the street as a thief, and I lived under the sewer until one day I was trying to steal from someone, you know, and before I could take anything from him, he said, hey, you know, what's your name, you know? And that really rattled me, because for 5 years, no one human being had ever asked me what my name is, you know? But also, as a street kid, kindness meant danger. For everyone who was kind was also abusive at the same time. So for us, kindness meant run for your life. But he gave me something to eat, and he left, you know, and he fed me for 1 year and a half. And one day he said, hey, Peter, if you had an option to go to school, would you go to school? And I'm like, no, why would I go to school? I live in the sewer. I'm treated more like a street animal. Why would I go to school? In my head, I thought school is for people who have mom and dad, who have a home to live, who have a future. Those are the ones who go to school. Me, I am none of them. But he said, if you go to school, there'll be lunch, dinner, and breakfast. I was like, wait, what? There'll be food, you know? So for me, I went to school for food, because I had never had a meal a day. So for him to say there's 3 meals, I was like, that must be heaven. Like, this can't be true. But also he had fed me for 1 year and a half, so he'd gained the trust in some way. And that's why I went to school, and he changed my life. And, you know, not only did I go to school, I went to high school, I went to university in Uganda, I went to university in England, and that's how I came to the United States.
I would love to learn more about, you talk about how this man saw potential in you, and he's the one that fed you, right? How do you think we create experiences like that, where we see people and see their potential? How do we do that more in our everyday life?
Well, there's so many ways we can do it. You know, I think for me, as an American now, the one thing I've learned is to be grateful for what I have, rather than always looking for what's my next. Or before I complain, you know, open my fridge, or open my closet and say, how many pair of shoes do I have? And be grateful from the get-go. And I think that helps us to know what we have. If you don't know what you have, it's hard to know what you can give, you know? And then the other side is to learn not to judge others. I think we can live in a life where my life looks this way, so everyone else's life should look like mine, you know? But rather, as a foster dad, I've learned to love my bio parents for my kids, not to judge them, but to see them as human beings and say, hey, I want to come alongside your life so I can help you so you can have your kids back. So really not judging others and taking the responsibility of our community, knowing, hey, I live in this community. It is my community. But how do I pay it back to the community I live in? You know, you at work. You know, not all of us have the same family backgrounds. Not all of us have the same. But how do you see someone who needs and say, hey, you know what? I want to step up. You know, he's my son. He's in high school, to say, hey, how do you stand up for those who are needed, to see someone who looks different than you, rather than judge them, you know, right away, but to say, hey, how do I come alongside them? You know, it's easy to see as a foster dad, I get to see kids who are behaviors really, but I think for me, rather than see their behaviors, to say, but where did it come from? What is causing it? And that really helps us to to not judge others, but to really get to understand who they are and do the best we can,
What inspired you to become a foster parent?
Oh, what inspired me, I think for me, for that man, that he did something for me. I was unwanted, unloved, smelt, thief, name anything you could think of. But he didn't see that. He didn't see a thief boy. He didn't see a kid who was hopeless. He saw a kid with potential. And I think for me, by getting me or helping me at my lowest has helped me to do the same. When I came to United States, the first time they gave me food, and it was so much food. But then later I saw how much food was thrown away, and I began to ask, wow, how could others have so much and others have so little? But in some way, I knew I had been given so much as well. And so for me, it was more of, too much is given, much is required. I have been given, but what do I use what I've been given to do something? And that's when I walked into foster care. I said, hey, I like to mentor teenagers. And the social worker who received me said, hey, have you ever thought of being a foster dad? I was like, yeah, but I'm not qualified. She said, why? I said, I'm single. She said, dad? No, you can be a foster dad. And that day I signed up to be a dad. And so since then, I've had 37 kids, and I've adopted 3. He's my first that I adopted. And for me, it was more remembering what he did for me, what someone did for me, and saying, how do I pay it forward? You don't have to come from a bad background or an abusive background to say, how do I pay it forward? Even us, all those who have had a good mom, a good dad, a healthy and an amazing family, to say, I was given those, but how do I use them to help someone else, How do I use my good background to pay it forward, rather than to yourself, but for others as well? And I think that's where it began for me, to truly want to make a difference.
There are a lot of people out there who are probably skeptical about becoming foster parents. What would you say to them?
Oh, well, I mean, here's the thing. When you've never walked the journey, yes, you have the right to be, question or wonder, can I do it, But I think we can do it. It's amazing when we underestimate ourselves.
Right.
I love that. That's fantastic. Everybody plays a part, right?
Yeah, it's like my dad says, it takes a village to raise a kid, And it quite literally does take a village sometimes, because you're going to need help. And if you have the right people to help you, then you can impact a child's life for the better.
Guys, these are such powerful messages that you're sharing. Thank you so much. This is so awesome. Can you tell me more about the Now I'm Known Foundation and what you guys do?
Right, yeah. Well, I'll let my son explain first,
Yes,
then I can
perfect.
fill in the gaps.
Right. So I don't exactly remember how it started, but how it started was I remember that we had the idea of modeling our dog Simba into a plushie, because Simba, he's helped me and numerous foster kids that come to our homes with so much, and it's helped them cope. And so me and my dad, mainly him, but me and my dad, we had the idea of what if we could share Simba with the world, in a sense. And so we started with a Simba plushie, and with that plushie, whenever you bought one, you could donate one to a kid in foster care or hospital for free. And then it expanded from that. We did a bandana, and it had 12 words of affirmation, such as ones that you are heard, you are seen, you belong, you are loved, to let those kids know that they do matter and that they play an important role. And my dog Simba, he would wear that, and then we tied it around the little plushie's neck at some point. And then we also made it to where actual people could wear it. Then we did the book, right?
Yes.
But Now I Am Known, essentially, it's what it's doing, it's sort of spreading the word about kids in the foster care system and how they need help, and it's helping them know that they are known, and it's trying to raise attention to all the kids in the foster care system that need help, because most of them, they don't get the help that they really deserve, and they end up aging out of the system with no clue as to what's going on. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to spread that word in a sense.
Right. And again, going back to what that man did for me, I was unwanted, unloved, and abused in every shape, form. But he made me known by loving me and by loving who I was. He didn't love me because I was a good kid. He loved me because of who I was. And the same, we want people to love kids as who they are, and take on them. So Now I'm Known, we do, we provide resources, as he said, the plushie that has 12 words of affirmation, but also do room makeovers. We want our teens to really have a good room. Most time they move from home to home. They always find things there. And think about when we go to a hotel, do we ever feel it's home? You found a bed there, you found everything. So what we do is we ask the teen, hey, what would you want your empty room? If you walked in and it was empty, what would you like in? And in that way, we truly get to provide for them everything they need, and it's theirs. It's their color, it's their style, it's things they ask for. Of course, we surprise them, but usually we have to ask them, what would you like? And then they give us ideas, and we create that so we can truly give them good room makeovers as well. And that really helps them to know they are seen, heard, and known. But two, for the first time, they get to have something new that is theirs. You know, for the very first time, they have to have a bed that is theirs. For the first time, that stuff is theirs. No one can take it away from them. And so for us, that's really what we really get to do. My other job, what I do as now I'm known, is to speak on behalf of the kids. You know, I get to travel all over the United States, really sharing about, hey, here's the need and here's how we can journey it. But also sharing my journey. Hey, I was this way and someone cared for me, and we can do the same for our kids. To not see the worst, but see the best on how we can change the lives of kids is what we do.
So fantastic, you guys. Thank you for sharing. So given that we're in the holiday season, what would you say is the biggest need for foster care system right now, and how can people help?
Well, the biggest need actually are foster parents. You know,
Gotcha.
remember, as a dad, I get to really make sure that my kids are there. So the burden of, you know, and here's the reality of Christmas especially. It's the hardest holiday for most foster kids. That's when you think about your family. Everyone's talking about family. I'm going to see my mom, I'm going to see my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But our kids are not going to see any of them. So in some way, how can we come alongside to try to rejoice with them? So this holiday is, I would say, if you know any foster parent, say, hey, what are your needs for your kids' birthdays and Christmas? Absolutely.
Yes.
Small things, you know,
Yeah.
Amazon gift cards, you know, small things where kids can go shop for themselves. I think that would really, really be helpful.
It is the season of giving, so make sure as you go throughout this holiday season to think about the needs of foster families, foster parents, and what part you can play in creating a better system and how you can help this holiday season. Let's go ahead and try some cookies.
Okay, guys, we're gonna test these cookies, but we have a game we gotta play, okay?
Okay.
There are different types in here, so we're gonna pull one and we all try one, okay? You ready? Okay, we're gonna try this.
All right, which one is it?
All right. Which one is this?
This
is
one.
the turtle.
The turtle, okay?
All right.
Hold on. Take a bite, okay? We're gonna ready, and you tell me scale 1 to 10.
The turtle.
Yes. Okay, try.
Scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10, a little bite. Scale 1 to 10, what would you give it? 10? What's 10?
That's a good solid 9. The brownie bit is just a little bit dry after, but other than that, it's great.
Yeah, I would give it a 7. It's a little dry. That's me. Okay, next. Who's next? You ready? No, you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to pick up one? One. Let's see. What's the
Cinnamon
one?
roll.
Let's see what it looks like. Oh,
This one.
Okay, good. All right.
Sure they can.
This one.
Perfect. Okay.
That's a solid 10. I like it.
I
10
like
out
it.
of 10.
I'll give it a 10. Pretty good.
I'll rate it 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I like the taste of
All
the
right, it's
cinnamon.
Anthony's time now.
But
pick
the
up one.
turtle is the best.
Tato's the best.
Birthday cake.
Birthday
There's
cake.
just this one.
Okay.
Birthday cake.
Little bite. Let's see it.
All right, looks good.
I would give it a 9.
I'll give it a 10.
I'll give it a solid 10. I'll give it a 9.
A 9? Okay.
Really good.
I'll give it a solid 10.
Okay, next. My
So
turn.
for the 1, 2, 3,
Oh, it's your turn. now.
3.
Look, it's your turn. Pick up one. Ooh, what did you get?
Oh, the pepper.
What's that? Peppermint ice cream. Yeah, peppermint ice cream. Look. Ooh. Me, because I like bitter and not too sweet.
I'll give it a solid 1 out of 10.
What?
That's
Me,
my least favorite.
I give it a 10 because it is not too sweet.
That.
It's not. It's just in between what I like.
For me, I'd give it a 9. I wish I could taste the peppermint just a little bit more.
Yeah.
What would you? What do you give it?
0 out of 10.
What? No, remember 1 to 10. So what would you give it?
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. Okay. Ginger snap. All right.
An,
Okay.
Which
You
is
see what it
this?
looks like?
an original
Yes.
classic.
See what it looks like? What do you think? What do you give?
I think the sugar's starting to get to me now. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
What do you give it?
I just want to bake these at home. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Wow. Wow.
Literally, I want to bake it at home.
Yeah, I like it too because it's not too sweet. It's not too.
I give it
It's just in the middle.
I'll give it a solid 10.
All right.
That's a strong
Okay.
My turn.
The last one, you go.
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be?
That has an aftertaste. I like that.
Milk chocolate chip.
Milk chocolate. What does it look like?
This.
I want to see it.
The
Classic.
chocolate chip.
Ooh.
Ooh,
That's milk?
our hand has a little bit of everything in the middle.
Is it this one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's even warm.
Yeah, because they just baked it.
I know. So what do you think?
I think I'll try it again.
What do you give it?
3 solid 10s.
3 whole 10s. Wow. I mean, it's yummy. I'll give it a 10. It was warm. It tasty.
For the chocolate chip, I give it 100 solids.
Yes, remember it's 1 to 10. So we have to pick up one.
100. Yeah, if you 100 solids of 10, it goes. If
Okay,
you think
dear.
10
That's a new
times 10,
scale.
Thank you so much for joining us on Crumbl
Unboxed.